All right, we're going to try something different today because I have been making so much product for an event that I am doing locally. This is hopefully going to turn into a jewelry organizer. I am currently killing two birds with one stone. So this is being tested, and these are going to be talked about. I would get from a better angle, but the sun is just sucking so bad right now. Also, that snail just fell. That's what that noise was. Anyways, so these, they all have different stories. Or, I mean, this one does compared to these ones. Bruh, it's windy now, but anyways. This one, and this one, and this one all came from the same tree bush thing that actually these also came from. So this with shellac ends up looking like this. Then again, I also cleaned it off. Obviously, that one's really messy and got like moss and stuff on it. But so this is the back of an antique dresser, if you can't tell. But hopefully, I'm gonna refinish this thing soon. But anyways, so I'm gonna tell the story behind these three first. So this one in particular, this one inspired all of these other ones, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So this was the end of a branch much like this one. And I saw this little part, which actually was broken off this close. All I did was trim right there. You can see on the other side. And it inspired me, so I cut it off, obviously. And then I was like, I can't just waste the rest of this stick. It's got this cool little mended bit and an end that's that sharp. I was like, I can't just not do anything about that. So I cut off this end, actually in the purpose of trying to get this isolated, because this one, I'm going to get to this one last because it's got the best story of the three. But this one, once I cut the end off and was about to discard it and give it to my dog, I was like, this is kind of a fun angle. It really is. And so I didn't even sand it much. I just was like, it looks kind of nice just this way. Heck, I almost didn't even carve the ends of it at all. And so, because it looks cool. And then I did something new with the cord. And it's not bad at all. I even weaved the fluffy bit in here too. And so, yeah, this one was I was just like, that's cool. We're going to just ignore, even though this one's like backwards too. I just noticed that. You're going to just put it the right way. Anyways, we're just going to ignore this for now. Emphasis on the for now. But anyways, this one's the one that initially, after I looked at the stick closer, caught my eye, because it's got all these little mended bits in here even. And right here's a big one, and you can see that it was like full on into the branch. Well, that is because this came from a lower branch of a tree that when I play with my dog out in the backyard with his herding ball, and he gets the ball underneath this bush, he starts chewing on it because it's in his way, and he's aggressive about that. And this is a branch that he did that to, but didn't get chewed off. And it got the opportunity to start to heal. I thought that was really cool. And it's got some deeper meaning to me in that area because, like, could you imagine? Like, look at how beautiful this one in particular is. The other ones are beautiful too, by the way. And like, could you imagine just getting eaten alive, surviving? Look at how beautiful those scars are. The things that happen to you that are bad, they're beautiful when they're all better, you know? Your pain can be turned into something great. You don't have to be a victim. You can be a hero instead. And that is kind of symbolized with this particular one for me. And then last, but definitely not least, we have this one. So I carved the pendant on stream. And my dog ended up stealing the other half of the stick from me. But regardless, the biggest part of the story actually comes into these little tabs at the top. You see, when I found them, I was collecting trash on the side of a dirt road locally, because that's where I get most of my stuff, sustainably and locally. And when I was collecting these, actually, the very piece I picked up, I'm going to show you in a second, but so when I was collecting these, it was getting dark, because I don't care about the dark when I'm in the woods. I'm less scared of bears than I am of people. But speaking of bears, when I was collecting this, unironically, I bent down, squatted down. Give me a second, I need to find it. I have a little collection of metal bits right here. I squatted down to pick up this, because I was like, oh, that's so cool. You know, I believe it's like some sort of concrete or logging screw, you know. I was like, oh, that is so neat, you know. And like, I reached down, looked at it when I was on the ground for a little bit, and picked it up. And the second I stood up, there was this like bewildered, screeching, growling noise that sounded kind of like a mixture of and you know, like, and I was like, you know, because like I was bewildered as well. I was like, I was just listening to the frogs, bruh, you know, and like the frogs had stopped at that point too, and I was just like, excuse me. Also, that person needs new brakes. Anyways, so yeah, I was just like so shook by that. And I started talking louder, because I was like, that's gotta be like some sort of predator of some kind. I honestly thought that it was a bobcat, because the scream was kind of derpy, to be honest. It wasn't what you'd expect from a black bear. But so I was like, I'm gonna respect your space. I'm here. And so I started backing away, and I saw some rustling in the bushes, like right in front of me on the other side of the guardrail that was next to me. And I was just like, you scared me, so it's only fair. I gotta bewilder you a little bit more. And so I scattered some gravel in front of those bushes and across the guardrail in like one sweeping toss. Like, you know, actually I used this hand and I was like, wah, you know. And then I got to my car by backing away slowly and talking loudly and acting cocky to try to deter whatever it was, even though I kind of thought it was a bobcat, but the bushes, they were rustling a little bit too much for it to be a bobcat. And so I got to my car, and by the time I sat into my car with the door still open, I heard some clicking, like jaw popping, like when you're popping your joint. Like, I'll show you with my ankle. So trigger warning if you've ever broken a bone, because that's the noise. It just kind of, oh, it didn't do it this time. Do the other one. They're quiet right now. There, it's kind of like that noise. But like a little bit of a lower tune. So that's a thing that black bears do when they are feeling threatened and nervous. They kind of pop their jaw joints, kind of like that. I started hearing that noise, and I was like, what? That's a bear? And yeah, so I got in my car, closed the door, turned it on, contemplated for a second. Should I honk the horn or not? And I was like, you know what? I come out here a lot. I don't want this bear to just hate me. So I didn't honk because that would have traumatized the poor thing, probably. And so I just started driving away up the hill, and I saw some movement on the other side of the guardrail, like up on the hillside, like right next to the road. And I glanced over when I was driving, like, not super fast, maybe like 10 miles an hour. And like, I look, and there I am, locked eyes with a black bear on its hind legs that is so bewildered that it just kind of fell backwards down the hill. And I was like, oh. And it was like probably a yard in front of me. Like, I'm going to show you roughly how far away it was right here. So I'm standing here. So from here to that bush is about as far away it was from me, if not a little bit closer even. Like, when I was outside of my car, and then when I drove by, I was closer. It was more like from like this thing being me, that being the bear. Like, it was a bit close. You know? And like, my whole family who hunts, they were like, that is unheard of. Bears don't come that close to the road. You should like warn people in local community groups and whatever, because they're not supposed to do that. Well, so I did that, and a lot of the people that live on near that road, they're just like, there's like a bunch of bears out here. They're like, I'm surprised it took you this long to see one. And I was like, you know, that's how I felt, because I've always seen so many animals up that road. But like, yeah, so I hope you enjoyed these stories and found some inspiration, because like, these were clippings from trimming that bush. Like, this was all one branch that was clipped, and then this one almost killed me, for lack of better words. So I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if any of these will be on my shop. It depends on if they sell or not at the local event that I'm going to on the 18th. Anyways, adios, amigos. And don't forget to not fight the bear.